Hello everyone, welcome to another video of programming problem solutions. In this video, we are going to look at LeetCode question 5, longest palindromic substring. So let's get started. Let's first cover the problem statement. It says, given a string S, return the longest palindromic substring in S. Just to revise, a palindrome is a string which when spelled forwards and backwards is the same. For example, A, B, A. When spelled forwards, it's ABA. And when spelled backwards, it's ABA as well. So it's a valid palindrome. Now let's look at the provided example. In the first example, we have two palindromic substrings. First is BAB and the other one is ABA. Both are of length 3. When this is the case, we can return any of them. So both are accepted as a solution. In the next one, we have CBBD. In this case, palindromic substring is BB. As such, the answer is BB. And at the last, we have the constraint of this problem. The string length will be between 1 and 1000 and the string S will only consist digits or English letter. So it will be alphanumeric. That's something to keep in mind when coming up with a solution. To come up with a solution, we are going to use a brute force approach. Let's look at this with example. So, given we have a string A, B, C, B, A, D, what we will do is, in this string, we will iterate over each character, that is starting from A ending at D. When at each character, we will start with two indices, left and right. For each iteration, we expand outwards and compare the two characters. If the characters at index left and right are the same, we continue expanding outwards. If they are not the same, we can confirm it's not a palindrome and as such return early. Once we confirm it's not a palindrome, we move on to the next character. That is, we move both left and right to next and then expand again. In this case, the left moves to A while the right moves to C and then we compare again. Since both are not equal, we can move on to the next character. In this case, the next character is C. We repeat the same process and expand outwards. So, left has B and right has B as well. Since they are both the same, we can expand outwards and then move on to A. And again, the characters are equal, we can expand outwards. Now, since we have reached the start of the string at A, and also the right character is not equal, we can safely say that this here is a valid palindrome. That is A, B, C, B, A. We store it in a string that has the longest palindrome we have encountered till now. And then move on to the next character to repeat the process. Now, we move the left and right to B, and then expand outwards again. Left moves to C and right moves to A. Since they are not equal, we can move on to the next character. So we move on to A. Then again expand outwards, perform the check. They are not equal, we can move on to next. As such, we reach the end, that is D. At the end of the iteration, we can return the longest palindrome we have encountered till now. In this case, our palindrome had odd number of characters. So, when expanding, we were assuming that both left and right are at the same character. But in case if we had an even length palindrome, it would have two characters at the center. Let's look at it with an example. A, B, C, C, B, A, D. In the case of even length palindrome, our left will be at one C and the right will be at another C. And we do the same thing, that is expand outwards and compare the two. We keep on moving outwards until we have a valid palindrome. It is better to understand this with a code example. So let's have a look at code. First, I'm going to create a helper function that takes a string and two indices from where to start or where to expand outwards and returns the longest palindrome string starting from those indices expanding outwards. So here, as you can see, palindrome helper takes the string and left and right indices, returning the longest palindrome starting from that index. Inside it, we will start a loop. The first two conditions of a loop are that our left and right are within the length of the string. The next condition here is the condition for palindrome or a valid palindrome, that characters at left and right are the same. If they are same, we keep on expanding. As such, left will be left minus minus and right will be right plus plus. When this loop exists, both the respective indices, that is right and left, will be at a character which is not part of the valid palindrome. As such, we will omit it and return the last valid palindrome character. So you can use slicing to do that. Start from left plus 1 or the last valid character up till right. Since it's a half range, we don't need to do right minus 1. It will only go up till right. So to revise, what this function does is takes a string and two indices left and right inside it. It makes sure that we are inside the length of the string and then expand outwards until it's a valid palindrome. At the end of it, we return the valid palindrome by slicing the string. Now let's write our main function. So longest palindrome substring takes a string and returns the longest palindrome in it. To save the longest palindrome, we will create a result variable which holds an empty string at this point. Next up, let's start iterating over string character by character. For this, I'm going to use a regular for loop. I is equal to 0, I less than the length of s, and I plus plus. First up, let's check if it's a valid or length palindrome. In this case, we can do temp and call our palindrome helper function and then pass I and I, which is we are assuming that the character that we are on is the center of our palindromic string. And then we check if length of temp or length of temp is greater than the current length of result. That means we have a new maximum length palindrome. As such, we update the result to store it. Result is equal to temp. Next up, we call the helper function again, but this time we will pass I and I plus 1. So this time we are assuming that I is at the center of a even length palindrome. We repeat the same check again. That is, if temp is greater than or equal to the current palindromic string length, then we save it. And in the end, once we have iterated over all the characters in the string, we return the result. So when I was explaining, I was using left and right. This is what we did here, comparing left and right and expanding outwards. But inside the main function, I'm using just I, and then I gave the seed values for left and right. For an odd length palindrome, we say left is I and right is I as well. For even length palindrome, which has two central characters, we say start from I and I plus 1. Whichever is the greatest, we save it. And as such, we return the result at end of iteration. So at the end, we will have the longest palindromic substring in the given string. Let's do a small check to make sure that it's working as expected. I can do result longest palindromic substring. Let me give A, B, C, C, B, A, D, and then FMT println the result. Let's run the program to see the output. So we got an error for slice out of bound or out of range. That is because we are doing right minus minus. It should be right plus plus to expand it outwards. Let's run the program again and see the output. As you expected, we are getting ABCCBA, which is the longest palindrome. Now let's try with the other case, which is CBBD. In this case, we expect BB to be returned. And as expected, BB is returned. The time complexity of this solution is O n square, since for each character in the string, in the worst case, we would have to iterate over all the other characters in the string or in order of O n square. That's it for this solution. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please post a comment under the video or reach out to the Discord server. See you in the next lesson. Happy coding!